Finally, the Ripple USD issuing addresses got released both for the XRP Ledger and Ethereum alike. The release is currently in beta mode, so there are no tokens yet for us to play around with, but we can already check out all the settings that got configured on the account and speculate on later usage. But why are there two Ethereum contracts? Hey, what's up? My name is Krippenreiter, and this time we are taking a closer look at Ripple's latest issuing accounts and how they are currently set up. As you can see, there are 3 addresses linked in the official press release. One leads us to an XRPL Explorer and the other 2 to an Ethereum Explorer. We will start with the XRPL side and talk about Ethereum later. When we open up the issuing account on the XRPL Explorer, the first thing you will notice is that not much has happened yet. Just a few transactions to set some settings and 100 XRP sent to the account to activate it. So the first one being a normal payment transaction to pre-fund the account, and the second one is so-called account set transaction. Those are used to configure the account to allow or disallow certain behavior with flags. Think of these flags like options you can flip on and off. The first one we will take a look at is the default Ripple flag, which is a common one that always gets enabled on issuing accounts, so that 2 people who hold the asset, like you and me, holding the asset like Ripple USD, can pay each other with the issued currency without having to run through the issuer first. For this, something called rippling is used and is a clever way to credit and debit different accounts holding the same token. Then we have deposit authorization, which is a setting used to only allow pre-authorized accounts to send Ripple USD back to the issuing account by Ripple. I assume this is to control who is allowed to redeem Ripple USD tokens later against fiat that Ripple holds in its reserves. So as an example, assuming I hold Ripple USD tokens right now, then the only way for me to send these tokens back to Ripple is by becoming a pre-authorized account first. The authorization would be done by Ripple, of course. Next, we have the clawback setting, which started some debates on X because no one knows if the setting will remain for the testing phase only or if this will remain active on the issuing account due to compliance reasons. Clawback itself is just a compliance feature and used to recover funds from sanctioned accounts or from accounts with illegal activity. It's something which Ripple may combine with the freeze functionality to gain control of certain Ripple USD tokens held in some accounts. But why the debate? The debate started because a clawback-enabled token cannot be used in an AMM pool without this proposal getting enacted on XRPL first. And as you probably know, without an AMM pool, it's more difficult to aggregate liquidity on-chain. Time will tell if this may change in the future or not. No one knows except Ripple, of course. Next on the list of all the settings that got configured is the signer list, the multi-signature signer list. That got added, and the master key which got disabled to basically allow the multi-signature wallet to behave like intended. When we look at the signers, we see 8 possible signers, all owning different weight values, which are either 1 or 13. There's also a minimum weight set, which is 15. What this all means is that whenever one of these signers want to initiate a transaction, like a payment transaction for example, he has to ask for some help first. In essence, this means that he has to collect the signed approval of other accounts too, until the combined weight is 15, because the minimum weight is 15. Possible combinations are 2 accounts with a weight of 13, like these 2 for example, or 2 accounts with a weight of 1, in combination with a third wallet who has a weight of 13 again, or any other combination that equals 15 or higher. Before I forget it, why did Ripple disable the master key again? The master key had to be disabled, or else anyone owning the key pair would be able to sign transactions without any restrictions from the signer list. The owner of the key pair would therefore be able to completely circumvent the whole signer list altogether, which is nothing you usually want. So it's just logical to disable the master key after the signer list is set. We have also something called destination tags, which is a setting called require destination tag, which is something you should already know from all the exchanges, whenever you deposit funds into the exchange again. Whenever you will send Ripple USD tokens back to the issuing address, you will also need to add a tag or an ID so that Ripple is able to allocate the funds correctly to your account. Think of these tags like house numbers in a street that describe the owners of the houses. Without them, no one would be able to send any packages to you. And trust me, you want these packages. There's also disallow XRP. That's something which signals the sender that the issuing account doesn't want to receive any XRP. In combination with the pre-authorization approach, the deposit authorization flag, this is a compliant way to only receive the stable coins from someone who is authorized to send funds back to Ripple for the redemption process, I guess. Important to know is that this is just a request by the issuer and not enforced on the ledger. The correct way would therefore be to combine this one with the deposit authorization flag, which is what Ripple is already doing anyway. Lastly, there are two flags which were not configured, which I think is important to mention because I think that's really bullish. Firstly, transfer rate and also require auth, which just means that Ripple will not charge a fee whenever you transfer any Ripple USD tokens, and they will also not restrict any retail user from holding the token, which is pretty cool. Now on xrpscan.com, if we look at the issuing account, the Ripple USD issuing account, we can see the address and we can see the properties again. We can see the domain on the right side and their Twitter handle and all the balance with their reserves. As you know, 10 XRP are for the base reserve and 2 XRP held per object for the owner reserve. If we scroll down to settings, we can click on settings and see the settings once again and the summary. For the summary, let's just quickly run through the descriptions. First, there is the require destination tag flag set on the account, which is needed for Ripple to correctly allocate funds that they receive as a payment to their account to their off-chain backend. Deposit authorization exists so that Ripple can always only ever receive a payment from an account that got pre-authorized by them first. Disallow incoming XRP is set to signal that this issuing account doesn't want to receive any XRP from anyone. As stated by XRPscan, that's just a request by Ripple which a wallet may adhere to but isn't enforced on the ledger itself. Then disable master key, which is something which you always enable whenever you configure your account to turn into a multi-signature wallet. Just as a refresher once again, there are 8 different signers, each holding their own keys. Their signature holds a certain weight of either 1 or 13. And to fully approve a transaction, a combined weight of at least 15 is required. So the threshold is 15. For this, several signers have to give their approval in a combined effort before any transaction can be submitted onto the ledger. Then there is default Ripple, which is a must for issuing accounts like the one from Ripple, so that token holders can efficiently pay each other whenever they transfer the Ripple USD token. Lastly, clawback, which is a compliance feature that Ripple needs and is used to recover funds from accounts whenever the US litigation system insists on it. Now follow me into the Ethereum bubble. On Ethereum, tokens follow a standard called ERC20, which is a technical standard used to create tokens. The in-quote issue with smart contracts is their immutability, which means that whenever a contract is published, it cannot be changed anymore, which is usually what you want, but it also has its downsides. To stay current with all the trends and be able to change code in the future or upgrade a contract, what developers sometimes do is create a so-called proxy contract, and in addition an implementation contract sometimes also called upgradable contract, which is exactly what Ripple did. The idea is that all users only ever interact with the proxy address, which also has the token issued, while the actual logic behind the token, the brain of the contract, gets delegated to the upgradable contract instead. This approach makes it possible that the token contract always stays the same for every user, but Ripple is able to change the logic in the upgradable contract whenever necessary. If Ripple were to change something, they would simply need to create a new upgradable contract version with upgraded code and tell the proxy contract to delegate its functionality to the new one instead. So in short, again, the proxy contract is the one you as a user will always interact with, which will not change, and it behaves like the body of the whole construct, which delegates tasks to the brain. The upgradable contract is the one holding the actual logic, which can be replaced whenever Ripple decides an upgrade is needed. This one behaves like the brain of the construct. There you have it. All three addresses and their structure on the XRPL and Ethereum alike. If you still have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments below, and don't forget to like, subscribe and share this tutorial with everyone you know. I really hope you learned something new today. I wish you a lovely day, and until next time. Ciao ciao!